Go. Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 2 of this conversation, and we're dealing with 3 big bullet points in the Yale Critique of the Cass Review. Now, initially, we got a little far afield, and we sprinkled in, the messaging in our conversation, but let's lay it out so that people can see what it is. Christine, from your bullet point.
Okay, so to recap, my bullet point was about evidence, certainty, and quality, and how the report doesn't describe positive outcomes of gender-affirming medical treatments for transgendered youth. So the 2 key messages I would take that that are the authentic, the true messaging that when you're having this conversation, you need to have. So, one, any sort of report, any sort of science that you are looking at, real science, should show actual outcomes, positive outcomes, negative outcomes. All of the outcomes should be documented and described in an objective fashion. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the fact that the American Association of Pediatrics, and I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm just going to say there's a trans organization as well. They have both that makes it sound less fancy. They have both determined that the positive outcomes of gender affirming care, there are tons of them. There is a reduced risk of suicidality. There is improved just sense of self. There's a whole list of those, and we will get those for you. But just know that there are positive outcomes. They're what you want for your child or a child that you know, and that they have been backed by organizations who have the best interest of children and trans youth in mind.
Awesome. So from my bullet point, the Cass Review ignores the harm that not treating a trans adolescent, the physical changes, the psychological changes, and the psychological damage, which can be extreme and last a lifetime. And I feel that one rather personally. You can, and when you ignore them, hormones can do some of the heavy lifting, but a lot of it is permanent and will always be permanent. And the things that you can correct are fucking expensive. And just from a purely economic point of view, treating trans kids or trans adolescents with puberty blockers and gender affirming hormone therapy does all the work in conjunction with the body. And if they want to adjust things later in life, they get to do that. Mm-hmm. But forcing kids to try out a life that they don't want, that's torture.
My point now?
Take us in, Leanna.
Yeah, I'm going to be contrary because that's what I do best. And I'm going to say it's not about what you say all the time. It's about your ability to listen. And that ties into my point about patient values and preferences. Young people are people, right?
Yes.
Teenagers, we treat people like they're an idiot kid until they turn 18. 17 and 364 days. There are a few leap years, so not even. But, complete dumbass, doesn't know what they want. 18, totally fully formed adult. It doesn't work that way. We're not talking about 6-year-olds in terms of gender medicine. We're talking about 12-year-olds. We're talking about 15-year-olds. We're talking about 17-year-olds. A 12-year-old can babysit younger children. They do have some idea of who they are and what they want. Do we have to protect them? Yes, but not giving them a voice. Stifling them when they try to speak to you is not protecting them, it's stifling them. Listen to your kids, listen to your teens. Teenagers continue to blow me away with how much they perceive and the intensity, especially today. I say on my podcast, it's not therapy. Listen twice before you talk once. And that's true for the teens, the trans teens or the gender questioning teens. But it's also true of the people that aren't on the same page yet. The people that are legitimately frightened by the propaganda. I work with a guy, we've been going 2 years now, and he's desperately trying to understand the gender thing. And he's had some really bad experiences with very doctrinaire advocates who it's their way or the highway. He's not allowed to ask any questions. Just do what we say, or else there will be pain. That doesn't persuade anyone. Akila, you say all the time that's coercion, not persuasion. It does not work. Let people ask questions, allow people to make mistakes, acknowledge when you don't know something. It's much better to say, I don't know, than wing it and have a whole bunch of nonsense come out of your mouth. You will lose them if you start BSing, right? If you don't know, say you don't know, stick to what you do know, stick to what you're firm on, and let it be a dialogue. Don't lecture people. No, you don't like to be lectured. I don't like to be lectured. Nobody likes to be lectured. Well, Akila's got a really cool voice, so she could lecture me all she wants, but that's a special case, right? But yeah, a conversation has to be a conversation, not a TED Talk. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
And one thing that I'll add on, and I was at a conference with a bunch of queer and trans people this past week. Even progressives get it wrong. There was a wonderful speaker who is a doctor. She's queer and she's mother to a trans child. And when the woman was growing up, she would say to her then son, why do you always want to be girly? Be a man. And she didn't know that she was stifling a trans child until she came out in her 20s. So even if you're in the correct, air quotes, policy silo, you can still fuck it up.
Yeah, but being an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. Or being a parent, being afraid.
Yeah.
It happens. But try to do the right thing. If you fuck it up with good intentions, people will understand. Because this is super complex. Give yourself some grace. Ask for grace from others if you need it. We're all human. And I think that brings us in for a landing. Any final thoughts, Leanna, Christine?
Just picking up on what you said there, it's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to be a coward. There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Big difference. And shutting people out and shutting people down because you're scared, that's cowardly.
Yes, it is. And on that note, This is a really short episode. Viewer, I want to thank you for the gift of your time. Leanna, Christine, thank you for the gift of your time. Be safe, be well, and as always, take charge. We'll see you in the next one.